All right, welcome everybody to my YouTube channel where I'm going to be helping you build your DFS lineups every week, and we're just going to get started right here with the Sunday slate of games. I had this idea for this channel for the past few weeks, and yesterday I just kind of thought let's just go for it. Let's just do it. I love talking about FanDuel and fantasy football and DFS in general. I just think it's something I'm good at. It's something I like talking about, and why not try to help some people build some lineups and hopefully win some money. So I'm going to be using FanDuel for all my money comparisons, just for anybody who watches this and they do DraftKings. The money's kind of similar to an extent where like your most expensive players are still going to be your most expensive players. It's just the dollar value is different because you have a different amount of money to build your lineup. Where on FanDuel you have 60,000. I think on DraftKings you have 40,000, but I'm not sure. Anyways, I'm just going to give you a few guys that I think you should be putting in your lineups no matter what this week. There's a few really big prices, but we're just gonna get right into it and see what we have here. So my first guy is Austin Eckler. So he's $9,400 on FanDuel, and that is an extremely high price tag. And I've been trying to build lineups around him well all week, and it's tough. But there's no Keenan Allen, there's no Mike Williams. This guy's been a PPR juggernaut. He's had 28 targets the last two games he's played, 143 yards and a touchdown. He's getting like receiver one numbers as a running back. His running volume hasn't been there. His production hasn't been there. The Chargers can't run the ball. I just feel like if you kind of need to figure out a way to put Austin Eckler in your lineup. Now I will, like I said, it's tough to make it work. So we'll talk about a few other running backs that are just as good of plays this week. I just think Eckler's in line to have another like 30-point week. Another LA Charger we'll talk about real quick is Gerald Everett. It's a tight end crapshoot week with Dallas Goedert playing Thursday, Mark Andrews who is hurt and playing Monday if he is gonna play, and then you have George Kittle who isn't playing this week, and you don't have Travis Kelce this week because he plays Sunday night. So Gerald Everett is your price at 5,800, and I think he's your safest tight end. Again, with all those passing options out, going against a pretty bad Falcons defense who let PJ Walker throw for over 300 yards against him. DJ Moore looked like himself against him. Everett is the safe bet. 15 targets the last 2 weeks. Hopefully he gets in the end zone, get us 5 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. That'd be awesome. Another tight end we'll talk about if you don't want to go the Gerald Everett route is Evan Ingram. Yeah, he's $5,200 on FanDuel. His last 4 games, his targets have been 10, 6, 7, and 6. I feel like he's finally got a role in this Jaguars offense. Now, the Jaguars offense hasn't been great the last few weeks. It's pretty much been a Travis Etienne show, and Trevor Lawrence has looked like rookie Trevor Lawrence. He's been a roller coaster quarterback all season. I'm not sure what's going on, but it's going to be a get right game for them. They play the Raiders, who, frankly, they can't stop anyone. They make anyone look good. They got blanked last week 24-0 by the Saints. The Saints could do whatever they wanted against them. Alvin Kamara had another career game last week against them. I just feel like if Evan Ingram could be back in line to have a good week, for a position at tight end where it's hard to find good value at a good price. But 5,200 for a guy who's getting 10 targets a game. He got a touchdown last week too. I think Evan Ingram's worth your money this week. Another Jaguar we'll talk about. I gotta scroll my mouse down here. It's Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, 6,800. Again, roller coaster week. Quarterbacks are kind of hard this week for me because it's like I spend every week on 9,300 on Josh Allen's this week. I spend every week on Josh Allen. Joe Burrow has been either amazing or awful. It's just hard to know what you're going to get out of some of these guys. But again, the Raiders' offense hasn't been great. Trevor Lawrence is either going to throw for 300 yards and rush for 2 scores or have a dud, it looks like, half the time. But I think this is a week where Lawrence can give you 20 points. And if you can get a guy for that cheap that's going to get you 20 points, that's going to give you enough money to spend elsewhere on guys like Eckler or like Justin Jefferson. If you want to spend up on players, going cheap at quarterback this week is a good idea. Another guy, again, I'm hammering Jaguars, is Travis Etienne. At the last 2 weeks, this guy's been a machine. He's the spark plug on this Jaguars offense. I hope he gets it in the end zone again this week because it looks like that's the only thing that he can't do is score some touchdowns. But Travis Etienne at 76. If you're not going to spend up on Eckler, I think running back is a great spot this week to spend a bulk of your money because receivers are so weak. Speaking of running backs, we're going to talk about another one here, Aaron Jones. They play the Detroit Lions. We know what everyone does against the Detroit Lions. That's score points. The Seahawks, as you can see, I'm a Seahawks fan. They scored 52 points against the Lions. Teams are having their way on offense against the Detroit Lions defense. Aaron Jones has been one of the bright spots on this Packers offense. Last week you saw this guy get in the end zone twice on receptions. No, sorry, that was 2 weeks ago. My bad. Last week he ran for 143 yards against the Bills defense. But I think this is another week where Aaron Jones is going to be a 20-point fantasy guy. Again, he's 7,800. That's pretty high. But he's a guy I think everyone's going to be putting in their lineups. He's going to have like 100% ownership in some of the FanDuel leagues that I have. I have like a 10-man and a 16-man. There's no way this guy's not going to have 100% ownership in both of those. Another running back I like coming back off IR is Cordell Patterson. He's going against the LA Chargers. We've seen the Chargers give up a bunch of big runs to pretty good running backs. Ken Walker had an awesome week against them. I think with the Falcons, we see their offense. They run the ball more than anybody in the NFL. Their offense is like stuck in the 1990s, where they do just weird play actions, rollouts. Their routes for the receivers suck. Their route combinations suck. Everything they like to do is with their running backs, and Cordell Patterson is a very dynamic weapon for them, and they know how to use Cordell Patterson. I think this is a guy at $7,200 that you can stick in your lineup. Put him in your flex when you're building your lineups and try to build around it, or stick him in one of your RB spots and see what you like. But I like the Cordell Patterson play this week. One more running back I'll talk about just because he's so cheap, and I just don't know what to expect, is Deion Jackson. He's $5,000. He's going to have an expended role this week for the Colts. They're calling up guys from the practice squad like Philip Lindsay. They just traded for Zach Moss. The Colts offense isn't very good. Is Ellinger going to throw a bunch? I don't know. I just feel like at $5K, if you're in a tight spot and you're doing a 25-cent lineup or you're doing an expensive lineup and you're just going to dart throw, he might be a dart throw worth stashing, but I don't think I'm going to take a risk on it. I felt like that was the guy I should talk about. There's going to be a few other players I'll talk about. Like I said, receivers is not a good spot this week. When I'm making my lineups or looking at my lineups, I just don't like any of the receiver options I have. So I'll just give you a few that I like. Chris Godwin, 6,700 this week. Every week this man gets peppered with targets. I just feel like it's going to continue to happen over and over again. The Rams are really good against the run. The Buccaneers can't run. Tom Brady drops back 50 times a game. I think last week he had 42. The week before he had 45. The week before he had 48 or 49. And then he had 50. Eventually, Tom Brady is going to throw for 400-plus yards, have a few touchdowns, and our guys, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, will score some points for us. Evans had over 100 yards last week. Godwin was close to 100. He had a couple big runs. Godwin's looking more like himself, shaking off these injury hang-ups he had all year. But at 6,700 for a guy that I expect to get 15 targets, roughly 100 yards, hopefully, and a touchdown, I just feel like Chris Godwin at that price is a great play. Another guy with a similar price tag is Tyler Boyd. He's 6,900. We know there's no Jamar Chase. Him and T. Higgins are the guys. The Bengals offense is a roller coaster again, as you saw last week. They did nothing. My phone fell. I will have to edit that. That's funny. They did nothing against the Browns, but I think this is another spot for them to get back into it. And Boyd at 6,800, which is the receivers you have this week, just is a good play. The last receiver I'll talk about is Terry McLaurin, $7,200. With Taylor Heinicke in there, he gets fed targets. And again, he's going to get fed targets again this week. He's 7,200. Those are like your spots for your receivers, I think. In between like the 6,600 range and the 7,200 range is where you're going to find most receivers you're going to want to play this week. The only guy I would spend up on, since I'm spending so high on running backs this week, is Tyler Lockett. I would stack him with Geno Smith if you're going to play Lockett. Geno's 7,500. I like the stack. Arizona's good against the pass, and I think they're going to bring a lot of pressure against the Seahawks. But this week, I think the Seahawks have figured out what works for them on offense. And I know last game that Lockett played against the Cardinals, he had 2 catches for 17 yards. Didn't look good. Last week, he had one of the worst pro games I've ever seen him have. He fumbled for the first time in his career, or lost a fumble. He dropped a touchdown, but he did have the game-sealing touchdown at the end of the game. Lockett should be in line to get the 15 targets, the security blanket for Geno Smith, coming up with big catches. The Cardinals like to take away deep pass patterns with some bracket coverages, and DK might not be much of a threat this week. I think it's a good week to have Tyler Lockett in your lineups, which in turn, Geno Smith for me has been the model of consistency for fantasy quarterbacks in DFS formats. It's 14 points, 19 points, 20 points. He hasn't had 20 in a few weeks, but last week he had 19.9. I just feel like every week, if you're going to spend a bunch of money on quarterback and your quarterback's getting the same amount as like Geno Smith, who's 7,500, usually a couple $100 cheaper than these bigger name guys like Kyler and Joe Burrow, why not just spend the money on Geno Smith and spend your money elsewhere? One more quarterback I'll talk about real quick is Justin Fields. It looks like the Bears have kind of figured out what they want to do with their offense. And more design runs for Justin Fields have been great. He's had over 80 yards the last 2 weeks, 2 rushing touchdowns the last 2 weeks. He's hitting open receivers for touchdowns. The Dolphins have a bad pass defense, but a pretty good run defense. So expect Fields to hopefully have some more design runs. He's 7,400. He's $100 cheaper than Geno. But when I build my lineups, my method of doing it is like start with tight end and defense, and I always go cheap defense, cheaper tight end, and then I pick quarterback. And this week I'm going to be picking Geno Smith or Justin Fields, and then building around that with the running back nucleus of Eckler or Aaron Jones, Etienne, Aaron Jones, Cordell Patterson. Those are just a lot of guys in that range that I like a lot. There's just some other guys that I'm just going to stay away from. Like I'm not going to pick the Cardinals running backs, Benjamin. I'm not picking Leonard Fournette. They can't run the ball. Who knows who's running the ball for the Rams? It's just I feel like these are the safest bets this week. And I know there's not a bunch of players I named, but if you're building your lineup this week, you got to make sure you have a few of these guys. And I feel like Aaron Jones is one of those guys you want to make sure you have. Travis Etienne's a guy you'd want to make sure you have. Cordell Patterson. If you can make Austin Eckler work, I'm going to try so hard to make Austin Eckler work for a lineup that I like because I just feel like this guy's going to have 30 points this week. There's no way he doesn't have 15 catches, right? There's no way he doesn't score at least 2 touchdowns. And if you don't have Austin Eckler in your lineup and you're more of the big money spender when you do your FanDuels, like me, I do the 3 to 100 player entry, $10, $25 buy-in. And if I don't have Austin Eckler, I'm just screwed from the get-go. So I'm gonna make Austin Eckler work. That's the guy I'm gonna hammer. No secrets this week. It's kind of cut and dry on the guys you should play. Now, this is just my first video, so leave a comment. If you have my number and you're seeing this, text me. What did I suck at? Give me crap, whatever. But I'm gonna keep uploading every week, a few times a week. I think I'm gonna start really hammering it on Tuesday, Wednesdays. Get some early DFS action in. I play Dynasty fantasy football, and I'm in a few redraft leagues as well. So I can do some content like that with Dynasty and redraft. It's kind of tough to do redraft content or Dynasty content in season unless you're doing really like players off waivers and people you can cut and drop. So I'm not sure. I really want to focus on DFS content because I love FanDuel, and I just think it's so much fun every week to do just different lineups. So we'll do a video for Wednesday so you guys can have some information on your Thursday lineups. For some reason, I'm not so great at building my own rosters for the single slated games like Sunday nights, Thursday nights, Monday nights, but I'm pretty good at giving advice usually. So I'll give you guys some ideas on what you should be looking for. So thanks for checking out the video. Leave a like, comment, share with your friends, your family, whoever likes fantasy football. Let them know that more content will be coming out soon, better quality videos once I get in the hang of things, because I'm out here literally just winging it and recording on my iPhone. All right, good luck. Let's win some money this Sunday, huh?